Welcome back to the Rust Wrangler channel. Beside me here, I've got a 65 Ford Thunderbird, which I'm calling the Thunder Turd. You'll see why here in a minute when we walk around this thing, and I'm sure you can actually probably already tell. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this thing in the background of some of the recent videos I've put out. We picked it up for free out of a pretty sketchy area. I'll show you some pictures of where it was at. It was actually right beside the ocean. It used to be a California car and was last licensed in '88. So this thing's been sitting for a hard 36 years. The interior is full of junk. I'm actually not even sure what's in there yet. I'll probably try to get that all laid out and then we'll take a look at what's all there. I think all the seats are in there. Due to the area that it was in, I'm hoping we don't find nothing weird. I don't think this body's worth saving, and I don't have a title for it either, but it does have a full drivetrain in it. I'm hoping we could get it running and driving, and if so, I'll hang on to the drivetrain. I'll probably scrap the rest. I'd like to make a little more room in the yard for other projects, so let's go ahead and take a little walk around this thing and see what we're looking at. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a fender that was probably replaced at some point. Windshield and the rear window are busted out, but the window trim is actually in pretty good shape. Even the trim along here, but as you can see, a lot of rot here. There you go, back window's busted out, but again, the trim is all there in good shape. The rear here actually looks pretty darn good. The lights are in good shape. This whole bumper piece is actually looking pretty good, and this might be wall art back here. On the passenger side, you have the same thing. It's all rotted out on the shelf. It's a real shame. This passenger side window's busted out, but the window frame is still here. On this side, you have a little bit of trim hanging on the fender here. Now the interior, it's a shame because these are really, really cool. We'll go take a look on the driver's side there too. Also, that ain't the floorboard. Oh, that door does not open real well. It actually looks like this floor, it actually looks like somebody cut it out due to the straight lines we've got there. It's a real shame because this interior is pretty neat. Look at these gauges. And then up here, the speedometer. How cool is that? Over in the middle here, you have some controls, wipers, washers, a clock, left and right air, shocks maybe. You got the stereo here, it's all busted up, heat controls, oh, set of keys right there, window controls. I doubt any of that works though. Air cleaner lid, not a good sign. And then, like I was saying, a lot of the seats look like they might be in here, and then along with a lot of other stuff underneath it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look in the trunk here. You don't need a key for that apparently. So it looks like we have both fender skirts back here, which is pretty neat. Even though we're not going to probably save this car, we might try to throw those on there. Okay, we've got two windshield wipers back here that actually look like they're in pretty decent shape. And then a bunch of trim. So there's the other piece for the driver's side fender, along with a couple Thunderbird emblems. That's probably for the sail panels, these two right here. And then that's probably for the hood. So that's pretty neat. They actually look like they're in pretty good shape. It looks like they left us a brand new starter solenoid. We might have to throw that back in there, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, and another one. Sure, there's no starter problems on this thing. Got an extra license plate here, California, and it looks like we've got the original bumper jack along with the foot that goes with it, and it looks like it's still free. That's awesome. I'll probably try to hang on to that. That's pretty neat. Garage art or something. All right, let's take a peek under this hood here. Wow. Well, the hood might not be worth saving. This thing is quite crusty, and it looks like there was some stuff taken off of it. This appears to be what I think is a 390, and our power steering pump is currently not hooked up. It looks like we also have a little bucket of bolts down here. It's nice of them to leave that for us. The coil's just laying here. Other than all the rust and corrosion, I don't know that it looks to be missing a ton, so maybe we'll be all right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the oil. There it is. It's only about 4 quarts over full. Yeah, it smells like all fuel. Also, this carburetor does not look like it's going to move for me, and it's full of junk. So what I might as well start with is just soak this thing down with some penetrating fluid. And while I wait for all that to eat, I'll go start pulling stuff out of the cab there. Okay, let's go ahead and let that sit. Now before we move on to the interior, I'm going to take a quick peek in here, and there's absolutely nothing in there, although I wouldn't have expected there to be. And it's a clutch fan, so we're not going to be able to use that to try to turn it. All right, well, I'm going to move on to the interior. I'm going to get everything pulled out and lay it out here. We could take a look at what we got in there. Well, there's quite a bit of stuff in there. We got floor mats, door card here. We've seen that already. There's this panel, I'm assuming for the back. One headlight bezel with, let's see here. Oh yeah, 3 headlights, that's good. A bunch of other interior trim, a lot of trim pieces laying in here. A second set of fender skirts right there. Bunch of seat parts. One seat right there. We had an aluminum intake sitting in the back. That's kind of cool. We'll hang on to that. Extra set of valve covers with a nice hole inside of them. Some old vintage, or maybe it's not even vintage, it just looks like it. Battery charger here. Rear seat bottom. Something that looks like maybe it was a blow-up mattress of some sort. Got me a new set of jack stands. Just got to clean them up a bit. Perfect. Some nice double-bladed windshield wipers. That way we're cruising in style. There's the gas pedal. Great. New set of vice grips right there. And just a piece of the driver's seat that was sitting on some plywood here. Looks like they had the same idea as me once they get it going. I got a lot of shop backing to do here. Oh, and good news, the floor on the passenger side is in perfect shape. I'm going to get the shop backed out, and let's see what we can do about maybe possibly getting some seats in here. And if we do get it running, then we can actually sit in this thing. So after it got dark last night, I spent the evening shop backing out the inside of this car. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the floors look like. So after I shop back this thing out, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the floors look great. It's definitely a Flintstone mobile. Now before I clean out this engine bay, I'm going to go ahead and throw a battery in here, hook the cables up, and we're just going to see, since this thing has a clutch fan, just see if it turns over for us. If not, we'll go ahead and clean things up a bit, pull the plugs out, and we'll give her another shot after that. But let's see what she does here first. Now I just have this extra power cable here that I'm just going to jump the solenoid with. Let's see what she does. All right, so it does bump it, but it doesn't turn over. So in that case, I think I'll go ahead and pull those plugs, and then we'll try it again. Okay, so I cleaned it out a little bit, not very well, but got what I could. And I actually broke the spark plugs loose so we could take a look at those. But while I was doing that, I realized I forgot to check the tranny fluid, and wow, it smells like somebody had a bonfire in there, but it's at a good level, so we're not going to worry about that just yet. Hopefully that's decent, and we're a ways away from trying that out anyways, so we're going to call that good for now. Let's go ahead and take a look at these plugs. It doesn't look too bad, actually. Next one looks pretty much the same. Also the same on that one. This whole side looks pretty decent. That looks just like the other side, so that's good. It's a little bit of the same on that one. And same. One more to check. And if this one looks decent, I think we're doing all right. Yeah, that one has a little bit more moisture in it, but it's still not wet. Now that we've got those out, let's give this another whirl and see if we get any more action out of this motor. We seem to have lost power here. Okay, so I had to put a new ground post on here, and now we're back in action. So, oh, there it goes. Oh, that sounds great. Uh-oh. Boy. Well, that ain't good. I'm not sure what that is. Might see if I can try to listen to where it might be coming from. Six. Oh, it's back. I have zero compression on the front cylinder over here. The back three feel pretty good though. Might go ahead and check these out too. I get my fingers in there. Okay, little to no compression on that whole side. Could just be that the rings are all stuck, but she turns over. So that's the start. Well, that might be a pretty good reason why maybe they parked it back when they did. Well, I think what I might do is I'll throw some oil down each of these cylinders and just try to lube it all up a little bit in there. Hopefully maybe that'll free some rings up and see if we get a little more compression out of this thing. It almost sounds like we got a broken connecting rod or something, but clacking around down there. Well, after I throw some oil in the cylinders, let's go ahead and see if this thing's throwing out some spark for us. Uh-oh, I'm out of oil, mystery oil. Since I'm out of mystery oil, I'm just going to throw some ATF in these other ones. And hopefully that does about the same job that we need it to. Or if we got some pistons that aren't connected anymore, I guess we'll find out because we won't be spitting any oil out of here. All right, I'm going to let that sit for a few. I think maybe I'll go get my spark tester or throw it on the end of one of these plug wires with a plug and see if we can't get some light out of that thing. I'm going to go ahead and just throw this one right on here. Throw a plug on there. All right, let's see if we get any light out of this thing. No light. So then, I guess it's time for us to check our points like we always have to do. And it is pretty crusty in there. Oh yeah, yep, I can see it already. Get off of there. Go ahead and run a little sandpaper over these points here. Oh yeah, they are dirty. When you see that white chalkiness on your sandpaper, then you know it's pretty bad. And you kind of just keep shaving away until you don't get any of that anymore. I have a feeling I might be diving deeper into this thing, but I'm really afraid to take these valve covers off because by the looks of them, I don't know that half these bolts would come out of here. And I think these valve covers are about to turn to dust. Just about there. That should do her. So I went ahead and cleaned up the points, sprayed them down with a little brake cleaner just to dry them off and get any debris off of them. And then I jumped a little jumper wire over to the coil here, the battery side of the coil. Now I can take my little screwdriver here and I should be able to, and you can see we're getting spark now. So our points are sparking. I'm going to go ahead and throw the cap and rotor back on, and let's see if we get a spark out of the end of our spark plug wire there. Spark plug wire is back on. I'm going to hit the starter. Yes! We've got light. Okay, we're getting spark. So now we're turning over. We have spark. I don't know what's going on with the clunking that was going on in the motor there, but it does seem to be not there sometimes, and other times it is. So for now, we're just going to roll with it. I'll be honest, I don't think that carburetor is going to work. It's full of junk, and it's still locked up tight. I do have another one that we can throw on there. So just in case, I'll probably just pull that one off, throw the other one on. But I think we may be at the point where I could throw these plugs back in. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and clean them up a little bit. I'll just clean the ends up, re-gap them. I'll shove them back in there. I'm pretty surprised that this thing is actually semi-working out. So as you can tell, it's getting pretty dark out tonight. This is going to be the last thing I do on the car tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pull this carb off of here. I did get the plugs and wires installed again. I've got everything unhooked. I should be able to pull this one right off of here. And there it is. And I'm going to bring that inside. We'll clean it up at a later date. Obviously going to need a new gasket here. We'll start tomorrow by throwing that other carburetor on here. And then right from there, we should be able to throw some fuel down the throat and see if she fires for us. So here's the carb. I don't think that would have worked. And then in the intake, let's see what we're looking at. All right, she's pretty crusty, but at least there's no debris down there. I think we'll be able to work with that. I'm going to shove some rags down in there, and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, we're back at it. Let's go ahead and pull these rags out of here. I've got the surfaces cleaned up on the intake side of things and on the carb side of things, so we should be ready to go here. Let's see, I'm using a spare gasket I had laying around. Hopefully it seals things up the way I need it to. Whoops, it's not the way that goes. Okay, so it's pretty much the same carb as what was on here before. I had it on 454 that I'm hoping to work on soon here. And this one's been dry and everything's freed up on it, so it might make things a little easier. I'm just going to plop it on and we'll go ahead and see if we just dump a little fuel down the throat, if we can get any action from it here. Dump a little jumper wire just for a minute while we try this. Let's dump a little fuel down here a minute and let's see what we get. All right, here we go. I think it's actually going to work. Let's see if we can get a little more out of her. Oh yeah. Okay, so we're getting fire. There it is. There it is. All right. Now, before I go any farther, we know it is actually going to run. I don't know what happened to that weird sound we had when we just got it turning over. It actually sounds pretty decent right now, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and unhook that. I want to figure out how to get this running off the key. Everything is extremely rusted and corroded in the cab there, so I'm going to go in there and turn the key to the on position. It's just hanging under the dash, and I'm going to test for power here once I have that on. And if we can get power out here from the key switch, then I'll go ahead and start hooking some fuel up and see if we can get this thing running off of like a boat tank or something. I'm not going to worry about cleaning the fuel system on this car. It's just too far gone, so if we get it going decent enough, we'll just run it off a boat tank, and I think that'll be good enough. We're making some good headway. Let's see if we can get power from the key switch out here. Okay, now instead of the jumper I was using to just jump to the solenoid here, I hooked up the cable that comes from the solenoid. I don't know if the solenoid is good yet, but now we can go try the key. The key, like I said, is hanging underneath the dash here. So let's go ahead and turn that on and see if we get anything on the dash. All right, we get nothing from the key. So what I might do is test. Oh wow, never mind. We got a lot of hangers here. That's probably my power wire, the yellow one. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can hook that back up. See if we have power after that. I didn't even realize that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and touch these two yellow wires together. Try the key again. Oh, okay. So obviously, I don't know why they cut the power. We do get power though when we touch those. I'm going to just hook that back up and make sure nothing's smoking, I guess. So maybe that's not a good sign, but, and I'm assuming the red here should be hooked back up. I'm going to go ahead and reattach both of those, and actually it sounded like it was going to fire when I was turning it over, so I'm not sure what the red one's for. Maybe it doesn't matter right now. I'm going to go ahead and just hook the yellow one up first, I guess, before I touch the red one. Throw some fuel up there again and see if it fires off with the key. Well, in the process of trying to reconnect the wires on the key switch up there, I lost communication with my solenoid. I still have power at that main wire in there, but none of the other wires that were on the key switch were jumping over. So I'm going to go ahead. I do have an extra solenoid here. I'm just going to swap this solenoid out because everything is just coated in rust here. So I'll clean up all the connections. We'll throw that one on and see if that fixes our issue here. All right, let's give this another try here. And yes. All right, that did the trick. I'm just going to go ahead and hook some fuel up here, and let's see if this thing fires off and idles for us. So we got our fuel set up here. Now I'm going to use an electric pump, and then I'll hook the tank to the pump. I'll bring my pump up here so I can hook it to the battery. I'll try to just use some of these little alligator clip deals. Let's see if we get any action off it. Yes. Let's see if we start getting fuel up here. It's sucking fuel. Not getting anything yet. I can't really tell. Well, let's give it a try anyways. No action. I wonder if my accelerator pump is shot. Let me go ahead and dump a little fuel down here just to make sure I'm still getting power to everything. Alright, so she did. We are still getting spark. Now we're just not getting fuel up here. I'm going to loosen this up just a little bit. I hope my floats aren't shut. Just to see if I'm getting fuel out of here. Oh yeah, we're getting fuel here. So it's something in the carburetor. I may have to pull the top off this carb to figure out what's going on there. Let's go ahead and unhook that. I want to burn that pump up. There should be plenty of fuel in this carb now, so now I just got to figure out why I'm not getting fuel. So I took the top off of this carb here. The bowls were filling up with fuel. This side's a little bit murky, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull these jets out of here and blow through it all with a bunch of brake cleaner. And we'll see if that just kind of frees things up to where enough to where things will flow. And if not, well, I guess we're going to have to pull this thing back off, but I figured it's worth a shot before we do all that. The accelerator pump doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. I'll get this all cleaned up. We'll throw the top back on and see if we get any different results here. So what ended up being the issue with the carb here, I got it all back together, is where the accelerator pump here pushes fluid out. There's a little check ball, and that was actually stuck in there. So I freed that up, cleaned it all up a bit, made sure fluid is flowing all through there. We should be good there now. I found out I wasn't getting full power to my coil from the key. So I ran a wire from the coil into the cab. That way I'll have power to the coil when I go to start it. And I think we're ready to give it a shot now. So let me hook up the fuel pump here. Fuel pump's on. Okay, let's give her a whirl. Yeah! Looking good. It doesn't run bad at all. Wow. No water in it yet, so I'm not going to run it long. And also I need to drain that oil. I'm going to swap that oil out. That doesn't sound bad at all. A little bit of noise, but not bad. She's smoking pretty good back here. Smoking out of the whole trunk area. It's awesome. I can't believe this thing runs so well. Wow. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and jack the front end up here so I can drain the oil. I'm just gonna put fresh oil in it and then probably top off the coolant here. Do that a minute and then I can address the tires and possibly the tranny. It doesn't sound bad at all. I don't know what that noise was when we first started cranking on her. Right on. Put a little water in here. I think I might have a leak over on this side. Yeah, I do. I'm gonna try to pinch that shut. But I got her pinched shut pretty good. It's just kind of weeping now. Maybe it won't be bad enough to where it'll drain this thing too quick. Let's see if I can find a good spot to lift up on this thing. I don't know if this bumper is stout enough. Looks like it might be. Oh, maybe not. Well, I should be able to get in there and drain it now, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, let's go ahead and pull this plug here. Oh, we got some water in there. Some water in the pan. Not a lot, but okay. Let's let that drain a minute. There we go. Oil's drained out. Oil, water, fuel, whatever was in there. Before I drop this back down, I'm going to pull these front tires. The one on this side might hold air. I'm going to check that first before I pull it. I know I have to pull this tire, so I'm going to just go ahead and take that one right off. I might have a spare that I can put on that one. Alright. There we go. That should be about enough. We'll let things settle and we'll check that level again. Let's go ahead and get this tire pulled so we can replace it. Yeah, that thing's close. Oh, we got disc brakes. And let's throw this new to me tire back on here. Once it got dark last night, I went ahead and swapped that out. Yeah, and I also got my fuel system kind of situated, so we'll take a look at that. All right. So here's my fuel pump situation. I ran a couple wires here, went kind of underneath the hood here to a spot where I could reach so I can hook up power right from the seat when I get a seat in there. And then basically I just mounted the fuel tank back here. Ratchet strapped it down nice and tight. Should be all right. I think we're ready to test the transmission and see if these wheels turn for us. So let me get this thing fired up. I got the back end jacked off the ground, and let's see if this transmission goes into gear. It's smoking so bad. Woohoo! Some sparks coming out, and we're overflowing our coolant. Oh yeah, I got a little fire going on down here. So there's a bunch of brush still down here that I didn't clean out real good. It was just, there was a ton of it down there, and it looks like that kind of started smoldering and caught fire down here. So I'm gonna have to put that out here a minute. I dumped a bunch of transmission fluid in there, and it just didn't, it never filled up. Alright, there we go. No more fire. Safe to say, we cleaned out the coolant system a little bit. Let's go ahead and recheck this level here. That thing must be way down there. Aha! Finally got it on the bottom of the dipstick there. Okay. I'm going to call that good, because I just put a bunch of fluid in there. It's time to see what we can do about getting these brakes working. Now I have to pull the tires off, because the bleeders are actually on the outside of the calipers here, right behind where the tire would sit. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this thing is clear, and it is. So that's kind of odd actually. Normally those are full of junk. And then I'll go ahead and hook up my handy dandy DIY situation, just like that. Put it in my bottle with fluid in it so it doesn't let any air back in. And we'll go pump that pedal, see if we get anything out of here. Now another issue I'm having is whenever I compress the pedal here, it just sticks all the way down to the floorboard. I did try to spray it all down, see if it would free up a bit, but it doesn't look like it's working. So I was hoping by working it a bunch, it would start breaking free, but I might have to put a spring on it or something if the brakes do in fact work. But I'm gonna keep going here till I get all the air out of each corner, and hopefully we'll have brakes. So this side's looking pretty good. I'll shut her down. Now another issue I'm having is it seems like these rotors are completely seized up in the caliper. So what I'm going to try to do to remedy that is just beat this caliper. And see if that frees things up for us. And it does. Although not very well, at least a little bit. There we go. Then we'll zip this tire back on. And hope for the best. Now that the brakes are sorted out, it's time to see what we can do about a seating arrangement. And what I've come up with is I'm gonna put some crossbars here between the two braces, since the floors are pretty much non-existent. And I'll go ahead and bolt those right through the brace, like so. And I'll mount my seat to those. That way it's semi-safe. And these will bolt right through, all the way through that cross member. Now I've got lock washers on there, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten them up, make sure they're good and solid. And I'm going to probably use the one good seat that was in this car to mount to here. I don't think I'll really worry about putting any of the seats in here. I did go ahead and put a spring on that brake pedal. I don't know if it's going to work, but hopefully it does. Now this is the seat I was referring to. Oh boy, that thing is full of water. I'm gonna have to drill some holes in there. Let's see if I put it right here. Is that enough for my gangly legs? Woo! High rise. Oh, that's a little up there. I might have to lop the bolts off the bottom of this thing. Well, there we go. Maybe something like so. Well, that wouldn't be too bad. I could do a little gangsta lean. Yeah. That's not bad. Woohoo! I think that'll be all right. I'm going to go ahead and throw a few holes in these bars here and get this thing mounted in there. There it is. There it is. Yeah. I like it. Seat installed. I was hoping to stab this thing out on the road tonight, but I keep losing my tranny and the lines there are leaking like a sieve. I threw a pan underneath there to see exactly where it's leaking from. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up a minute to show you guys. I'm gonna have to go buy more tranny fluid again, but it started to move and I lost it again. So I'll show you how bad the leak is here, and then I'll show you what my fix is gonna be. She died on me. I might be running out of fuel, but it was leaking out of those lines pretty good. I'm getting quite the puddle underneath here already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop those lines off right there. And then I have this extra transmission cooler that I had on the shelf. I'm going to go ahead and just hook that up, zip tie it up in place underneath here. And we're gonna just roll with that I'll have to get a little more fuel, but we should be good to go once I get that tranny situation all dialed. And hopefully tomorrow, since it's so dark now and I don't really have lights on this thing, hopefully tomorrow we can stab this thing on the road. There we go, that's a nice cut. I'll cut this one right about the same spot. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm not really sure where I'm going to mount this. There's really no good spot here. Oh, maybe there. Either way, let's go ahead and throw these on. So once I figure out a good spot to mount this, I can go ahead and fill this thing back up. This thing was, I was just losing all my fluid. To be honest, I thought everything that was on the ground was what I put in the cylinders when I was first turning the motor over. But in fact, it was coming out of this tranny. It's pumping it straight out. So I guess that's what you call a poor man's tranny flush. I think that'll hold. Let's go ahead and mount this thing here somewhere. I'll zip tie that over here. It'd be nice if I can put this here or something. Oh, that actually don't look too bad. Well, there's my new setup. I cut the lines that head up to the front. I know this is not ideal, but I don't plan on taking her far. I hooked where I cut those two transmission lines to these hoses. Kept them away from the exhaust a little bit. And I just zip tied this cooler right up to the cross member there. So there she is. Let's see if she works. Went ahead and filled the tranny back up. Let's go ahead and fire it up, see if we got any gears and if we got any more leaks. About to take this old girl on her maiden voyage, but it seems I've lost all my forward gears. I still have reverse, as you can see here, but I have no forward gears. So I checked the fluid level in the transmission. It's still looking good, so I'm not sure. I think this tranny's probably just shot, but I don't think I can take her down the road in reverse. So either this is the point where I scrap this car and keep the drivetrain, or we try to figure out something else. But maybe I'll sleep on it tonight, see if we can figure something out. Just been sitting here trying to see if it'll grab a gear. hoping to take this thing out on the road just for a quick little spin, but won't be able to do that in reverse. So, well, I decided to go ahead and give her another try today to see if I can get that tranny going. And unfortunately, I just could not get it to work. I tried everything. I checked the fluid again. I checked the kick down, make sure that wasn't messed up. I checked the vacuum line that goes to the modulator, and everything looked pretty decent. We could, you know, throw a new tranny in here, but it's just not worth it with this car. I got it for free. I put enough time into it, and I really don't want to put any money into it. It's a miracle that the engine actually runs as well as it does anyways. I'll hang on to that motor. I'll hang on to some of the trim for wall art, maybe the tail section, and the rest is just going to go to the scrapyard. This thing's just too rusty and crusty. I was really hoping to take it out on a little drive, but they don't always work out that way. So I've got way too many vehicles lining up that need to be worked on, and I got to keep moving. So that's going to be it for this car. If you followed along to the end, thanks for watching. Please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you again on the next one. Let's go ahead and do one more fire up just for fun.